All right, so like I said, we're almost done here, but I knew that this slide takes a little while because there's a little bit to discuss with this one. And in a later chapter, we're actually going to come back to some of this a little bit, so we'll kind of reiterate. But viral action just means kind of like what viruses have the ability to do, what they've been known to do, as pathogens, as disease-causing type organisms. So there's a lot. There's a lot of different things that viruses can do. So there's lots of viruses that you could have in your body right now, and you have no idea. They show absolutely no symptoms. So this can be, something that becomes dangerous later on, or it can be something that is never dangerous to you, but something you could pass on to somebody else, and then they can get sick from it. So the flu is one of the very common things that can do this, where you could have the influenza virus inside of you. Your immune system is equipped to deal with it, or maybe you had the flu shot, so it doesn't really affect you. It doesn't make you sick at all. And maybe it'll never make you sick. You have it inside of you, your body kind of fights it off, you never get sick, and you're always fine. But you could cough or sneeze and give it to someone else, right? And then, there's something like, the HIV virus is actually later on a better example. Another good example is the Epstein-Barr virus, which we're going to talk about later on in the semester. But the Epstein-Barr virus is a virus that pretty much almost the entire human population has inside of them, and it only makes a very small percentage sick. One of the main things that the Epstein-Barr virus is associated with is or mononucleosis, which we'll talk about later. But that's one great example of a virus that you could have in you, and it does absolutely nothing to you. And you would never know that you have it unless you get like a very expensive blood test done to see if you actually have it. So then you have viruses that cause symptoms immediately. The body survives it, and you never become infected again. So this is things like chicken pox and measles, and there's several viruses that you just get them once, your body gets sick, and it has to fight it off. And then once it's fought it off, you're pretty much good the rest of your life, because your body develops an immunity to it. Your body develops antibodies, your body develops certain other kind of immune cells, and then the second that your body sees that virus again, your body says, nope, I remember you made us sick before, but you're not going to make us sick again, and we're going to destroy you before you can even make us sick. And this is kind of what vaccine technology is based off of too. So, we have vaccines for things like measles and mumps and chicken pox, and, we have vaccines for a bunch of viral diseases because we know that if you introduce, kind of a weakened virus into the body is going to develop immunity to it. And then when your body sees the real virus, from another person or, from touching a surface or something, your body can fight it off and you don't get sick. So, we'll talk about immunological memory. Immunological memory is what vaccine technology is based upon. So then we have viruses that are latent. So basically like viruses that have that lysogenic life cycle. So it's in the body and then sporadically shows symptoms. So the HIV virus can certainly be a latent virus where you just don't know you have it and you can give it to other people, and then it takes a while for you to get symptoms. Herpes viruses are also latent viruses. So once you get, certain types of herpes viruses, once you get them, they kind of remain with you, and you get outbreaks or you get symptoms sporadically. All kinds of, different possibilities there. And then viruses that are persistent or chronic and occur gradually over many years. So HIV virus sort of kind of could be like this one, but it's usually kind of referred to more as latent. But then, you have things like the flu and the common cold. which, you get them, you get sick, you get better, and then you might get them again in another year. There are viruses that are constantly in the environment, constantly within a population, and they mutate, they change over time. So the flu virus or the rhinovirus that gave you a cold, it may not be the same virus that your body saw a year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago. So your immune system doesn't recognize it as being the flu virus or a cold virus, and you get sick again. And that is just the reality of things like the common cold and influenza, is these viruses change so rapidly that you just end up getting sick again because of, their ability to mutate. This is certainly a concern with coronavirus, the current pandemic that we're all dealing with on a daily basis. This is a brand new virus, of course, so, no human has ever seen it because it was a brand new virus. That's why it caused this, horrific pandemic that we've had to deal with for over a year. But then, we don't know. We don't know if the coronavirus is going to act like the flu, and is it going to mutate and change so dramatically every year to where we need a new vaccine every year, we need a slightly different vaccine each year. We just don't know. We have to wait and see what's going to happen. And then finally, there are viruses out there that are extremely fatal. There are viruses that carry somewhere between a 90 to a 99% mortality rate. That means that, over 90% of people that get that virus die. These are the real scary ones. These are things like the rabies virus, the Ebola virus, the hantavirus, which is related to the Ebola virus. There are viruses that if you get them in your body, you will more than likely die in a matter of days. And, pretty scary, pretty scary viruses out there. We're going to talk about all kinds of different diseases at the last 1/3 of the course is all like every different body system and all the different diseases that affect them. So we're going to talk about lots of different types of viral diseases. Some of them are really, really scary. Some of them are scary because they're sneaky, and then others, it's kind of just like, you just got to deal with them. They're just part of being a human, part of being a nurse, things like the flu, the common cold, chickenpox. It's like, okay, we can deal with these things. Yes, they're awful to have to deal with at the moment, but they are things that we're equipped to deal with. And then finally, just real quick here, I mentioned viroid and prions when we looked at the different shapes, the picture of the different virus shapes. So a viroid is a very small virus that contains RNA. Usually they only affect plants. And then a prion is an infectious protein particle. So it's not even an organized virus. It's literally just a segment of protein that causes an infection. One of the most well-known prion diseases is called mad cow disease. You guys have probably heard of mad cow disease. The technical term for it is bovine spongiform encephalitis, because the brain of the cow that's infected with it, it starts to look like a sponge. That's where the term spongiform comes from. Basically, the prion causes the brain matter to just kind of disintegrate. It's pretty gross, pretty scary. And then we will talk more about prion diseases in chapter 22 when we talk about diseases of the brain. And that is it for chapter 13.